Good afternoon, LEC community. This is Ivan Ramirez. We are here with another learning lab. Today is a special learning lab. We are joined by two doctoras, doctoras Latinas, for a special episode, de Doctora a Doctora. They're going to be talking about their journey in academia. So let me welcome them. Here we have Doctora Marta Silva y Melissa Jiménez. How are you, doctoras?
Very well, thank you. We're doing good.
Thank you for being here with us, Marta Silva, Doctora Marta Silva de Olete Schools, y Melissa Jiménez de Hispanic Development Fund. I'm gonna go backstage and I'll be checking for questions, comments. But yeah, take it away. Feel free to share, and then yeah, have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right, here we are. So we were invited to do this talk because we both are we have done our doctoral degree here in the United States, and we both share so many common features. We're both immigrants. We are both we're very confused with the process, and we both have a passion for teaching others the mistakes that we made or the mistakes that were made for us. So we've been talking for 2 years now about this process of ours of becoming doctors in this country, and we actually started writing a book, which is going to be a research book on this issue. So without further ado, so my name is Marta Silva, Doctora Marta Silva. I am a teacher of heritage language education at Olathe North High School in Olathe. I'm a sponsor of a group of Latinas, Latina Leadership Club, and I say it because this matters to me, because I want a lot of our girls to be in the position that we are right now and to try to do the most they can with their lives. And I am a passionate advocate, or I'm really grateful to LEC for all the support that they have been giving me personally and professionally in the last years, and also to HDF for the support that they give our students to not just go to college, but to thrive in college.
So, buenas tardes. My name is Doctora Melissa Jiménez, and I am the director of the Family College Prep Program with the Hispanic Development Fund. And just started about 4 months ago. And so I have a lot of experience in post-secondary education because I worked at Johnson County Community College for 11 and a half years. And life allowed me the opportunity to cross paths with Doctora Silva, and we started talking. And I don't know if I had started or what part of the process I was in, but we started sharing our experiences. And the more that we started talking, the more that we realized that we want to use our experiences as guidance and support for future doctoras. And the past 2 years have been a lot of self-exploration, and just that's what we want to share this afternoon, this evening, is like answering those questions for you all that we want to ask others, but we asked ourselves first.
Yep. So one of our main questions was, what is your motivation to pursue this doctoral degree? So Doctora Jiménez, what was your motivation?
We have met. So when Doctora Silva says that we have met, I think they know us at Marketplace Public because we sat out there many hours drinking cafecito or heading over to the library. And when she asked me this question, I was like, I didn't know the answer. And I'm a first generation student, so I didn't have the guidance, and not in a shameful way. My parents just didn't know. So, but there's a distinct memory that I have in high school where I was like, I'm going to be Doctora Garcia because that's my maiden name. And when somebody finally was like, you should do it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. But for me, the motivation was just 18-year-old me or 17-year-old me fulfilling the promise that I made. Like, I wanted to fulfill that promise that I made to her when she was 18 years old to do it. And my research I'm very passionate about, undocumented students. So I think that made the decision a little bit easier for me to pursue it. How about you?
So for me, I did not know until we started talking, and we do take our time to explore each question because it means so much. So I started my doctoral degree like 28 years ago. I'm from Spain. I did my bachelor's in linguistics, a master's in translation and culture. And then I started right away to do my doctoral degree because that I love learning and I love studying. And so I was doing the thing that I loved the most until I met the person that I love the most, which is my husband. So I left everything behind. My doctoral degree, I just left. I didn't even think about it. I just left Spain, left my family, not in good terms. And then I came to the United States. I've been trying to retake my doctoral path several times, and things have been happening, and I couldn't. So once I finished and we talked about it, I think I wanted to finish it to prove my parents wrong, or prove maybe those who told me or told a 25-year-old who left Spain and left everything, all the life before or behind themselves, that my life was going to be a mess, that I was making the wrong decision. So it was deeply personal. And I think this is something that we both share. I am not sure about if this is because we're both Hispanic scholars or Hispanic women, that this is very personal to us. There's a lot of emotions that go into our both research, and it's not a coincidence, but also in the sense of completing this path. So in my case, once I started thinking, it's like, I didn't do it for the money. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for the prestige. I didn't do it. This has not changed who I am or the access that I have in my current position. But I think it has changed. It has closed a loop that I started many years ago. Same with you, and it's worth it in that sense. Emotionally, personally, it's worth it.
And I want to go back to like what Doctora Silva was saying, is that when she was talking about wanting to, because of LLC, the group that she is a sponsor for at her school, is like, my heart is with LUMNA, Latinos United Now and Always at JCCC. And those students for 11 years were kind of like, okay, you all are at the beginning of a post-secondary journey. And I had started my process while I was there and completed it while I was there. And it's like, I want to see more of us in the room, and I want to see more of us represented. And when we talk about how personal it is, it's like, yes, we can talk about when do you submit an application and what should your mission statement look like. But I think we also have to unpack, and I think that's what we're doing, is unpack those barriers, that lack of support, that lack of knowledge that we had, and how those were maybe weaponized. That's a strong word, but I think we would both agree that they were weaponized against. We're minorities and we're underrepresented. I think we make up like less than 2% of Latinos in the U.S. that have terminal degrees. So I think that has been something that we've also been exploring together. Of the challenges that we had.
Yep. Another section of our questions there is very practical. It has to do with the logistics on how was our application process, choosing and forming our committees, describing our coursework. And then the dissertation experience. So we're just gonna give you like we can talk like 5 minutes about how was this for the both of us or for each of us independently. But again, we have a lot of things in common. So if you want to start on that.
Yeah, so my program was a hybrid program. I completed my dissertation at the University of Illinois in DeKalb, and it was a 3-year program. I wish it took 3 years. It did not. But it was more with, there was an opportunity for a scholarship for underrepresented doctoral students. And that was a big motivator. I'm like, okay, so 1 year's paid for. I can do the rest. And it was challenging. I think that for any student that I grew up going to school in person. So I had never been an online student. So going to a program that was online and only 1 week in the summer with my cohort was a challenge. I had trouble. I think I pushed away a lot from my research topic because I told myself that I was putting myself in the box of like, this is all I'm good at. And instead of being empowered to think of like, oh, this is what you're really good at. This is what, as a practitioner, you have invested 10 years of your life. And that unfortunately wasn't part of the conversation for me when I started narrowing down what my dissertation topic would be. And I think I struggled with that a whole lot. I was like, no, I can't just focus on undocumented students because that's all I'm going to be known for. Whereas it's like, no, that's what I want to be known for. The writing process was hard. I think we all have our own experience. Mine was in the basement, not a literal basement, but the second living room of our house. And my family knew, okay, she's going downstairs. Ya se va a trabajar. And I would go and cry and write and cry and write because you just feel stuck. And it's looming of like how many pages and how many chapters. And when you get the first edits back and it's all red and you're like, oh, I was a good student. I thought I was smart. And you see where you're challenged and pushed. But that those were those pain points as well. It's like, yeah, I didn't come from a family that was like, oh, I have academics in my life that will tell me this is part of the process. I didn't know that. So those were just some things that I went through that I didn't do. And like my master's program, I didn't have a thesis. So these things of annotated bibliographies and literature reviews were very different for me. And it's like, okay, you've got to know this coming in because you kind of feel behind when you want to ask your cohort or your professors, how do I do this? What is this? So I think that was that process for me. And my defense was online. I will say that one thing that I do want to point out before handing it over to Doctora Silva is that my prospectus defense was the day after the elections in I think it was like 2020, 2019 area, something. I don't know. Well, I'm not good with dates. But that was I should have known better. And as somebody that's writing about undocumented students and the country was unsure of what was going to happen with the election results, I cried during my prospective defense because it was so emotional as a person going into that space. And it was just some of those things that if I had known, I could have said, I can reschedule this. I can ask for more time. I can ask for these things. So besides unpacking that experience, I think we want to pull from that those things that are beyond just the practical of like, what are these other things that as a doctoral student, I can request, I can voice, I can ask for that can help me make this not just surviving it, but maybe enjoying it a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe that can be the title of our book, If I Had Known, because, you made me think about when I went to who was my advisor and asked, that I wanted to do a doctoral degree, that I was very passionate and I was already in my 40s. So she asked me, okay, we'll do an annotated bibliography of Ansaldúa. And I didn't ask what was that. I went home and tried to find out what is that. I don't even know what that is. So I think we can give a lot of advice from our perspective. This is our journey. Each journey is different. Our journey of not knowing and not having anybody who understands that we don't know, and then not asking questions, because I could have asked more questions and I could have asked more people to support me, but I felt like I was alone in that journey, and I had to do it alone. And if I asked questions, then I wasn't ready to be like a doctor, right? Like doctors don't ask questions, that's something undergraduate people do. And that really that's completely the opposite of what we will tell anybody who is starting to think about starting a doctoral degree. Number one is ask a lot of questions, but not just to one or two people, a lot of people. And also ask questions to those who support your voice. Because in our case, because our vision of the system, our vision of research, a vision of what it means to be a scholar is so different than the mainstream. You will get answers that don't align with your voice, and instead of switching your voice, you just switch the person that you ask the question to, and find somebody who really, really listens to you. I was very fortunate that after a lot of different advisors, I landed on one that did not give me red editions, and she believed in my voice more than I believed in my voice. So, but that was at the end of a long journey. So logistically applying, I have like 15 pages, just the application. Applying once and again, I applied to different universities and I had to stop for a variety of reasons. So knowing the logistics of it, it is major. It can make your doctoral journey enjoyable or a set of obstacle after obstacle. And it has nothing to do with the content of your research. The content of your research can be fantastic, but then you encounter the reality of the documents, of the deadline that you didn't meet, not for the research, but for something else, of the person you didn't talk to. So we both would like that anybody who listens to this and have questions, and maybe people in their environment are not as receptive, that they email us, they contact us, because we can ask more questions. I mean, if we don't know all the answers, we just know our experiences, but we've been researching this, and we will also interview many doctoras. And one of the things that we need to do more is ask questions without feeling that imposter syndrome, that if you ask questions, you're going to look like you don't know what's going on. And I didn't.
Neither did
I didn't. So we can, it's 5:49. I think it'd be good if we both, because we're very, very proud of what we did, tell you the names of our dissertations.
Yes.
Because they're really cool. Okay. So yours.
So the title of my dissertation is, I'm going to click on this, so hopefully I can get back to it, but it is Undocumented Community College Students, the Impact of Strategic Enrollment Management Frontline Staff and Level of Undocu-Friendliness. And yours?
Mine is Unnatural Bridges, Unsafe Spaces, a multiple case study of Spanish as a foreign language educators' perceptions of heritage language learners in mixed classrooms.
So in these 2 years that we have been spending time talking and sharing and processing, I think that for us, besides letting this space know that we are available to be supportive, our lessons learned, like what advice do we have to share to a student that is in the thick of it, that is considering it, that last week I had brunch with a very good friend, and he was like, I just don't know what to do. And when you sit with that after you've made a great investment of time and money, it feels like I can't stop, or I can't switch, or I can't look at another program, because you feel like I've invested too much. And I think that's a mindset of like an immigrant, a first gen student, of a lot of us that can fit into these characters, is like, no, I can't go back, because then I failed and I've missed the mark, and I don't want to do that. So I think that for us, I think it would be good for us to kind of just share some advice, or some things that we've learned in the past couple of years that we've been talking about.
So for me, a big one would be you're not alone. You shouldn't be alone, right? Sometimes we impose that loneliness on ourselves. So that's something that if I did it again, I think I would really look for a cohort. When I hear people talking about the cohorts, etc., I never had one, because also I did it in a very untraditional way, starting, stopping, taking a class, going through family issues, etc., etc. But at the same time, find someone that can write with you, that you can support, and they can support you, even if they're doing a doctoral degree that has nothing to do with what you're doing. But it's important not to be alone, not to take in this huge endeavor by yourself, because then you don't enjoy it as much either. You're just it is worth it. I mean, the time, everything is worth it, but you're not in that process of learning in community. And I do think that if we have something in common in the Hispanic culture here in the United States and around the world, is that we thrive in community. So being pushed by the system or by yourself to do this big endeavor by yourself, that was not a good decision for me.
I think that I kind of want to tie this in with like LEC, because they've done so much. I was able to be part of storytelling, and we both have, and that skill, I've done it. And I think we can look back at our lives and we're like, oh no, we are storytellers. But it empowered me, and it gave me the language. It's like, now I have the language to know that I'm a storyteller. And my dissertation, it might not fit the norm, but I'm doing like academic storytelling here because I'm a qualitative researcher. I admire all the quantitative researchers out there. That is not me. But I'm an academic storyteller. And I think that I want to tie that into like with the support systems that are available to us. And we're in the Midwest, or wherever you encounter yourself today, is like looking at these, I always call them like lighthouses. And LEC is a lighthouse to connect us and say, okay, we are not alone in this. And even if I am a quantitative researcher, maybe I'm doing a PhD, a PsyD, an EDD, that there are individuals that are willing to share their experience. Like, I would never gatekeep. I wish somebody would tell me, no, you ask this question. This is not okay. Or the little cheat codes that there are, not literal, but those cheat codes is like, okay, if you do this, then you can do this. Or appealing, like for my last semester, I was told that during dissertation defense, I could only enroll in 3 hours, even though I had already extended my time. My dissertation was written and submitted. I was working on edits. So I was able to like, no, this is a financial, like you're asking me 3 credit hours versus 1. And I appealed that process. I was like, I just need 1 hour. And because I asked and I used the voice that I have, it was approved. So I think making sure that you know that not everybody will get it. Not everybody will be rooting for you, but there are people that will, and we can build this community. And that's what our hope is with this Doctora, with this book that we want to write, with this cohort, this community that we want to create, to say you're not alone in this. We're going to cheer you on, because I failed to ask a question. A person maybe with not the best intentions delayed my research because I'm a rule follower. So I didn't ask the question, and they're like, no, you should talk to this person. Well, I did. And this person had a lot of issues with my research, and it delayed it by like 6 months. So know that they identify those people that support you. Maybe they don't get it, but they support you. And then the individuals that do, maybe it's undergraduate instructor, maybe it's somebody in your class that you're like, hey, this person, you know, it looks like we have stuff in common, and build that connection, because that support system is what's going to get you through those really challenging times.
And that support system, make sure that you understand where they come from. So my message is not don't listen to those who disagree with you. Of course you have to listen and you have to learn. This is a learning process. But always first do a little research on those voices who are telling you to edit your narrative, because that matters, and it matters a lot. I was very fortunate to have Dr. Norma Cantu as the person who really opened this new world of looking at heritage language education through Ansaldua's lens. And she gave me permission to use the voice of Ansaldua. And then, so that was very important to me. Then I had other professors whose research did not align with what this hybrid lens. So it's not that I didn't listen to those, but I learned to take just little things here and there. I was also very fortunate that at the end of my dissertation, I contacted with Dr. Nora Peterman, who was very knowledgeable in biliteracy and also a great listener. And again, sometimes I feel like I requested more of me than her. And I kept on asking her, so what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And she said, nothing. She was nothing. Can I do this? Do it. So I was very lucky at the end of my process. That was not the case for the whole time. So it's very important to know who you're listening to, understand where the voices come from. And if they want to change what you want to say, not just what you want to say, but in the format you want to say it, you need to find support to challenge that. And I did, because in the end, you have a voice and you have a narrative and you are a storyteller like we are, but then we're stuck on very rigid format of how you have to write each chapter and how it has to finish and end. My advice is be strong in your defense. And that's when we say a defense, at the beginning I was like, a defense of a dissertation, and then I understood because you do have to defend your words. And if you don't want to finish that chapter like that, and if you want your dissertation to have certain number of chapters, or if you want to put poetry like I did, or if you want to do drawings like I did, you have to be able to defend it. You put it in, but then you have to be able to defend it, not just for yourself, but also taking into account what framework, which I think that's a key also issue with writing a dissertation, is find a framework where you feel comfortable, like it is really you. It's like kind of those jackets that they really fit, that you see yourself in. And that's gonna be your lens, your spirit that is gonna guide your writing. And when things don't go right, that's the I don't know how to call it, but it is kind of a spirit that guides you and supports you. So I do think it is important to understand where the voices come from that tell you that you are doing a good job, or that you have to change. That we both have changed a lot of things within our dissertations, but I'm pretty happy with the result. Like I can tell that maybe 70% of my dissertation is my voice.
I can definitely agree with that. And some of like just the little tips that I used to like trick my imposter syndrome and my inner critic was I had a friend that I trusted, Dr. Whitman Howell, and she would open up the email from my dissertation chair first. So that way it was at least a little bit more like, okay, we're not going to catastrophize the edits. We're going to normalize it for you. Like, it's not that bad. And I trusted her because your writing is very sacred. You're like, I don't want anybody to read this just yet. So those were like just some practical things. And I did fight for my dissertation to be like, I have Spanish words in there that I was not going to translate. Somebody can Google it if they really want to know what it means and have a literal translation. So I think that there's those battles that if it's going to strip you of your voice, it's worth being uncomfortable and saying, no, I want to advocate for this. I want to fight for this, because I am not one that I like the whole idea of like a done dissertation is a good dissertation. I'm proud of my dissertation. I've grown as a writer since then. I've grown as a practitioner since then, but I'm proud of what I was able to produce. And I think that we share that. When we shared our dissertations with each other, it was like, okay,
I did that.
I did that. You read mine, I'll read yours. And it was such a great experience to be able to do that with a fellow Latina and see like, hey, look what we did.
Exactly. Well, I think we are, we said a lot of the things that we wanted to say. Of course, we can talk forever, but Ivan does not want us here much longer. So I don't know, Ivan, if I know that there has been some comments, but I had no time to read it, but I don't know if there's anything that you want us to expand on or any question. Yeah, so Liliana is talking about the imposter syndrome. Yeah, yes. And mainly, I mean, in my case, it is because English is not my first language. So I forced myself to pronounce very well. I used to, not anymore. And then to use big words.
Yes.
Big words, because I'm much better speaking in tier 2 and 3 vocabulary, like advanced academic vocabulary, than in colloquial English. So you will lose me with terminology that everybody knows in a bar or references. But I feel like my superpower was that I knew big words, right? So I try, and that is exhausting. That is really, really tiring. But it really has to do with where do you feel you belong. So in those places where you don't feel you belong, then you tend to use capes, that are not made for you, that you just try to impress others or feel like, hey, I can do this, this is mine, etc. Where there are spaces like LEC that I feel I belong. So Saturday, shameless plug, Saturday during Evolucion, if you hear my voice, it's going to be my voice. It's not going to be me talking about my research and naming all these scholars and these big words, because I know that's a place that is a welcoming, it's a community place. So I'm with you, Liliana, the imposter syndrome. We have to strip it out of here, like kick it out, and then value the important things like our own accent in all our senses, just the physical accent, but also the accent where the words that we choose, how we speak with our hands, everything. So, and I'm a linguist, I'm a linguist who has to think a lot about how I speak. So that's a lot.
No, thank you. I think both of your stories speaks about our upcoming theme of collective empowerment. Both of you working together, yeah, supporting each other. So thank you for sharing your story. I also forgot both of you were storytellers, expression storytellers. So that's also amazing. Different cohorts, different cohorts. But no, thank you so much. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. Thank you for sharing your story, and I'll see you Saturday at Evolucion.
All
Gracias.
right. Thank you.
Chao, Iván, gracias.